So before we do the next transaction, which is a deposit, let's review the document on Canvas called Selling Services or Products Processing Steps. And then when we scroll to the bottom, we talk about the difference between the cash account and the undeposited funds account. So let's start with undeposited funds. That's cash or checks that's in your cash register or a locked box in the company's office. These funds are not yet deposited in the bank. So when a customer comes into our shop, gives us cash or a check, remember, we don't immediately shut the store and run to the bank. We're going to do that deposit later, maybe later in the day or later in the week, or in this case, at the end of the month. So the difference between undeposited funds and cash account is the cash account is the company's cash that has been deposited in the company's checking account. So let's look at this next transaction. The next transaction says, Kristen Reyna, that's the owner, deposited all the collections for the month. So what that means is we're going to take all the cash and checks in our cash register or locked box, which remember is called undeposited funds, and we're going to deposit that into the bank. So let's go check out of our chart of accounts. And look at the undeposited funds account. Notice we've got $6,640 of cash and checks that are in our office or our store that have not yet been deposited. So let's double click this just to check things out. So you might recall these transactions. On the 13th, we received $600 from Beverly Jones, and the balance of this account at the time was then $600. Then on the 20th, we received $1,440 from Franco Films, which increased our balance to $2,040. So make sure you understand the difference between the increase column and the balance column. The balance column is just the running balance. So the individual transaction amounts are in the increase column. And then etc. We've got $480 we received from Hamilton Hotels, $25.60 from Cook Caters, $9.60 from Jenny Guthrie, and then Burger Bakery gave us $600. So we're going to close this now. And I'm going to close the chart of accounts. So it's now the end of the month and Kristen Reyna wants to make a deposit to the bank. So in the real world, she would take all those checks and cash, she would run to the bank, get the paperwork from the transaction, the deposit itself, which would be like the deposit slip, and she would come back and enter it into QuickBooks, and the window that you enter it in is in the banking windows box, and it's called record deposits. Notice the red 6 means we have 6 items that have not yet been deposited into the bank. So let's do our first deposit. We're going to click on this. And then when you open up this window, you should get another window that opens up on top of it. So notice this window that opens up on top of it is called Payments to Deposit. So these are all the checks and cash that are in our locked box or cash register at our work that are not yet deposited in the bank. So if we wanted to deposit some of them, you could single click these to deposit them, or you could see this checkbox column. You could click and hold and drag to deposit them. You can do the same thing to uncheck them. Click and hold. And then the easiest way, if you're going to deposit them all, you could go down here to the Select All button and click Select All. And if you did that by mistake, you could click the Select None button to deselect them. Now this happens to students. Sometimes before they select the things to deposit, they accidentally close this window. So I'm going to close this window, and then they panic. They say, where did that window go? So the way you find that window again is up here in a button called Payments. So click that Payments button, and here are all the things we can select from. Now according to the description, it says deposited all the collections. So I'm just going to click the Select All button. Click OK. And then another thing that students mess up at this point is they forget to change the date. The date is the 28th. And that's all we have to do. We have done our first deposit as soon as we click Save and Close. So for learning purposes, let's go check out the journal to see what that looks like. So that's Reports, Accountant and Taxes, Journal, and the date, I just want to do it on the 28th of the month. So I'm going to go 02/28/19, 02/28/19, tab, and then down here at the bottom you see a deposit, $6,640. And notice this says multiple. So what this multiple is saying is that there's multiple items that have been deposited, but to save space on this report, they have collapsed it. If you want to expand this to see the details, you go up here to the expand button, and then I can go down here. Here's the deposit, and here's the individual checks from our customers. And that's how you do a deposit.